What's on, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Ross, I like games, and today we need to check in on OP-09. OP-09 has been out now for a few days. It is time to look at what the most expensive cards in the set are and try and put some kind of vague price on these cards, which is honestly not easy. OP-09 is such a ridiculous set. We've got so many high-end cards in the set that it's becoming really awkward to actually try and put a price on them. It's kind of annoying if you're looking to sell the cards, if you're looking to buy the cards, or, for argument's sake, if you're trying to make a video about the top 10 most expensive cards in the set, for argument's sake. But I want to start off with number 11 here. It's not in the top 10, but Monkey the Dragon coming in at like $80 in at number 11? What? Really? No. That's weird to me. No one likes Monkey the Dragon. Nobody. I don't. It was weird when Akira Igawa did artwork of Monkey the Dragon, so I'm like, well, now I have to get it, but in my collection, I just don't really like it. It was annoying. And yeah, I don't really get why this is so high. Like, if you look at the Japanese prices, Monkey the Dragon shouldn't be this high. Like, this is ahead of cards like the Buggy Wanted poster, which, I mean, especially if you go by Japan, it definitely shouldn't be. And Zorojuro, the special rare. But right now, $80, number 11, Monkey the Dragon, doesn't actually get on the top 10 list. However, I did have to mention it just because it was weird. In at actual number 10, we've got the Wanted poster Shanks, which I'm going to put in at like $90. About a $90 card right now. And this one does make a lot more sense to me. This one I kind of get. Because what we've got here is, I mean, the Wanted posters are more wanted than the regular special rares. And it's Shanks who's pretty popular. And this Shanks is like a really good card in red decks. 10 cost, 12,000 power, gives all of your opponent's characters minus 1,000 as a static skill and has rush. I'm just saying, you add all that together, that is a pretty tasty card. In at number 9, at about $110, we've got ourselves the Wanted poster of Marshall D. Teach, which is a little interesting here, because, again, if we go over to Japan, Shanks should be ahead of Marshall D. Teach. It certainly was if you look at the Japanese prices, and this is generally what I'd expect. Marshall D. Teach is a very playable card, very much like Shanks. 10 cost, 12k blocker, and it basically turns off one of your opponent's characters for the turn, and your leader, or your opponent's leader. But this is where we are. It's a very playable card, and, you know, Blackbeard did win a big tournament in Japan recently, so maybe there's your explanation. In at number 8, we've got the special rare of Boa Hancock, one of only 2 of the regular special rares that make the list. I'm putting this in at about $125. And it's Boa Hancock. And it's a really nice one from OP-07 that stops your opponent attacking one of their characters and then puts a character cost of 1 or less to the bottom of the owner's deck and all of that. Cool card, but with these kind of high-level cards, it's not really about playability, although that's still the only reason I can see Marshall D. Teach being higher than Shanks in the Wanted poster. Nah, here it's just people love Boa Hancock, and it's a cool playable card, don't get me wrong, but this is mostly a Boa Hancock thing. In at number 7, we've got ourselves the Wanted poster of Monkey D. Luffy. About $130. This is the biggest of the Wanted posters, and this honestly makes perfect sense. I get this. Because it's Luffy. And it's a really cool Luffy from OP-05, the one that lets you take an extra turn or put an extra Don out. Pops up in decks here or there, but never really proven to be, you know, the potential for this card is completely off the charts. It's proven to be a decent card, but nothing terribly amazing playability-wise. But it's a Wanted poster of Luffy. And the general rule of One Piece is, if there are various different characters represented on one type of card, Luffy's going to be the biggest of them. That is the case here. We like it. In at number 6, we've got the special rare of Nami, coming in at about $150. Which, again, this is weird to me. Like, we look at the Japanese prices, and Nami isn't just below Luffy. Luffy is like 2/3 higher than Nami. Nami's at 15k, Luffy's at 25. Luffy is Nami plus 2/3. So it's not even close. Here, again, it's another card which is decently playable. It lets you trash a card with trigger from your hand to KO an opponent's character of a cost of 5 or less, and then maybe draw a card. Does the same thing as a trigger. But here, it is literally just, it is Nami in the Egghead Island gear, and that's what people like. And it really is as simple as that. I like the fact that we've got the Cloud there. That's pretty cool. But mostly, it's just Nami, and people love Nami, and it really is as simple as that. And the funny thing is, Nami at $150 coming in at number 6. That is the last card that comes in under $400. Ridiculously, that is a true statement. So coming in at number 5 at about $400, we've got the Manga Buggy. And it's kind of weird to say it like this, but Buggy comes in at $400 at number 5 because this is the manga that people want the least. This is the least exciting of the mangas, which is absolutely absurd that that's where we are, but that's where we are. And to be fair, this was the case over in Japan as well. Buggy is the least wanted of the manga, so fine, I suppose I get it. But the point we're making here is that it's still a manga, still very expensive, still a very playable card, lets you put any one of your opponent's characters to the bottom of the deck, and then if you don't have five cost or more characters in play, you got to put it to the bottom of your deck. But, you know, try and make sure that you do, you'll be fine. It's a really big, good card in cross-guild decks. So, okay, fine. Makes sense. $400. Right now, TCG Player got it at $420. But if you go and have a look at a bunch of solds on eBay, $400 seems about right. And when we get to these big cards, I don't think just using TCG Player works. For all of my lists here, I'm looking at eBay and all of that. And for the other cards on the list, yeah, TCG Player and eBay, they're about right. They're about the same. We're good. But these manga cards, especially so soon after the release of the set, they are kind of all over the place. But I think Manga Buggy, $400 seems about right. In at number 4, we've got Manga Shanks, and this is a more awkward one. I'm putting this one at about $600, tilting towards the over. I've seen it sell for as little as $450. I've seen it sell for as much as $750. So we're actually splitting the difference perfectly here and putting it at $600, but $600 seems about right. I've seen, like I said, I've seen $450, I've seen $6, I've seen $7, I've seen $750, I've seen $5, but this seems about right. Okay, cool. So we've got a $600 card here, and it's a manga. The pull rates are incredibly low, but Shanks is more popular than Buggy and more playable than Buggy. I told you what the card does a minute ago. It's actually the same card that we saw with the Wanted poster, but the red decks around at the moment are just doing better than the cross-guild decks. And certainly when OP-09 came out in Japan, Shanks decks were the talk of the town. They were everywhere. They were winning all the flagships, or at least a lot of them. And yeah, there's your explanation. People love Shanks. In at number 2, we've got Marshall D. Teach, again the manga rare. And I'm putting this one in at about $800. TCG Player got it listed a little bit above that, nearer to $900, but I think $800 is about where we are. Certainly, if you look on eBay right now, $800 seems to be pretty much the going rate. There's been a bunch of them selling for $800. And here, again, I gotta say that when you look in Japan, Shanks is higher than Marshall D. Teach, and it's not that close. And there's a weird thing going on here between the prices in Japan and the prices in the West. We saw it with the Wanted posters. We're now seeing it again with the mangas. I was expecting Shanks to be higher. Shanks is higher in Japan. Over in the West, it's Marshall D. Teach. Your explanation essentially here is that people are hyping the Blackbeard deck more over here than they are in Japan. And that's where we see the discrepancy in prices. It is the same card that we saw with the Wanted poster. I don't think it should be higher than Shanks. But right now it is higher than Shanks. What do you want from me? That's where we are. In at number 2, we've got the manga Luffy. And if you watched my box opening of OP-09, you might have heard me very high-pitched, getting very excited about this Luffy. Also, as a side note, and this winds me up, so don't be the person that does this. But if you search for Manga Luffy OP-09 over on eBay, you just get a bunch of regular secret rare listings, because everyone listing the secret rare on eBay has gone and put manga in the tags thinking we won't notice. We're not stupid, we know what you're doing. Now, in terms of a price here, this Luffy is proper job all over the place. I've seen sales for as low as $1,200, and I've seen sales up at the $2,000 mark. But I think $1,400 is about where we are. And again, the higher you get with these cards, the more expensive you get, the harder it is to get a real good look at exactly what these cards are worth. But I think about $1,400 is about, maybe $1,300. The more I think it should be $1,300. I've written $1,400 up there, but let's call it $1,400 shade to the under. And remember, I'm expecting all of these cards to drop in price as time goes by. This is far and away the biggest manga, and it should be. Again, it's the Luffy effect. Here, there's nothing controversial. Luffy should be, by a pretty wide margin, the most expensive of the manga rares, and it absolutely is. And somehow, we've hit all 4 manga rares, and we haven't even got to the number 1 card in the set. And of course, the reason, very simply, is Gold D. Roger, a card which isn't even listed on TCG Player right now. They literally don't even have a listing for it, which I think tells you about what you need to know. It's just not even there on the website. And it's really hard to pick this one. There are 2 sales on eBay, one for $5,000, one for $4,350. So let's put it at about $4,500, with the gigantic caveat that this is an incredibly expensive card that is very new and we don't really know how to deal with it. In Japan, it's 2.5 times the Manga Luffy. So if we take the Manga Luffy as this, we'll be putting it about $3,500. So 4.5 seems a little bit high. I do expect it to come down. But right now, it is really difficult to figure out exactly what this card is worth. Somewhere around the $4,500 mark seems about right, but it's very difficult to put a finger on it. There we go. That's what we got. That's your Gold Roger and all the other top 10. So now it's over to you guys. Were you lucky enough to pull any of these cards from this set? What did you pull? If not, let me know all of this in the comment section. Go nuts! Be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWasi. That's where we talk about One Piece and a bunch of other card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all kinds of fun things. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching Wasi Plays.